In this video, we're going to discuss anti-differentiation or indefinite integration. In particular, we're going to discuss these four rules: constant rule, power rule, the natural logarithm rule, and then natural exponential rule. And we're going to discuss also some properties of anti-differentiation. Let's get started. Here's the constant rule. It tells us that the integral of k with respect to x, where k is a constant, is equal to k times x and then plus c, where c is the constant of integration. This means that these are the functions whose derivative is equal to k. And that is very easy to verify. So when we differentiate the right-hand side with respect to x, we'll get a derivative which is equal to k. So for example, if the constant k is equal to -2, then we have here integral of -2 dx is just equal to, just copy the constant and then multiply it with x and then plus arbitrary constant c. And it is easy to check that the derivative of this with respect to x is just equal to -2. Take note that the derivative of a constant is just equal to 0. Another examples, if you're computing, let's say, integral of 3 over 5 dx, again, since 3 over 5 is just a constant, so just copy the constant and multiply it with x, and then add the arbitrary constant c. Now, how about integral of dx? In this case, you don't see any k here. If that's the case, then it means that the value of k is just 1. So this is like in the form integral of 1 dx. So our k is actually equal to 1. And this integral is just equal to 1 times x plus c, which is of course equal to x plus c. Lastly, if we have integral of pi dx, then again, pi is just a constant. So we just have to copy it, multiply it with x, and then plus the arbitrary constant c. Next rule. So here we have the power rule of anti-differentiation. So when we find the integral of x to the n dx, so again, we're looking for the antiderivative of x to the n. And this is a set of functions. So what are the functions whose derivative is equal to x to the n? So this rule tells us that we can find all the antiderivatives by adding 1 to the power n and dividing the result by n plus 1, which is the new power. So therefore, when you're integrating x to the n dx, just add 1 to the power divided by the new power, and then plus arbitrary constant c. But take note here that this n minus 1 is equal to 0 when n is equal to -1. So this expression is undefined when n is equal to -1. So therefore, we can only use this rule when n is not equal to -1. Let's have some examples. For example, let's evaluate this integral of x cubed dx. So the value of n here is just equal to 3. So the integral of x cubed dx is just equal to, again, add 1 to the power and then divided by the new power. So you have here a 3 plus 1 and then plus the arbitrary constant c, which can be written as, of course, you have here x raised to 4 over 4 and then plus c. Or you may write this down as 1/4 x raised to 4 and then plus c. Next, if you want to evaluate, let's say, integral of square root of x dx, then again, in order to use this rule, we have to write it in this form, x raised to a constant. So by writing this radical expression to rational exponents, then we can write this integral as integral of x raised to 1/2 dx. Now it is already in this form where n is equal to 1/2. So using this power rule, we just add 1 to the power and then dividing the result by the new power, which is 1/2 plus 1. And then again, don't forget the arbitrary constancy, which is equal to, of course, x raised to 3 halves over 3 halves and then plus c. And we can write this down as 2/3 and then x raised to 3 halves and then plus c. So take note here that the coefficient is actually the reciprocal of the power of x. So this formula here can be written as 1 over n plus 1 and then x raised to n plus 1. So the coefficient of x raised to n plus 1 is just the reciprocal of the power of x. So that is 1 over n plus 1. One more problem. So let's evaluate integral of 1 over cube root of x dx. Again, we have to write it in this form in order to use this power rule. So the integrand should be in this form, x raised to something. Okay, so in this case, similar to what we did in the second problem, so we can write the cube root of x as x raised to 1/3, and then that is 1 over x raised to 1/3, and then dx. And just moving that denominator to the numerator. So we change the sign of the power. So that becomes x raised to negative 1/3 dx. And now it is already in this form where n is equal to negative 1/3. Now we can already use power rule and we'll get here add 1 to the power and then dividing by the new power, negative 1/3 plus 1, and then plus c. So we can write our answer as x raised to 2/3 over 2/3 plus c, which can be written as 3 halves x raised to 2/3 and then plus c. And you may write this in radical form, cube root of x squared. Next rule, we have the natural logarithm rule. This tells us that the integral of 1 over x dx is equal to the natural logarithm denoted by ln of absolute value of x and then plus c. Recall that in the power rule, we have integral of x to the n dx is equal to x to the n plus 1 all over n plus 1 plus c. But we have a restriction that n should not be equal to negative 1. Now, if n is equal to negative 1, then our integrand is actually what? X raised to negative 1, which is the same thing as 1 over x. So in the case where we cannot use the power rule, we have to use this natural logarithm rule because this is the case wherein the power of x is negative 1. So this is the same thing as integral of x raised to negative 1 dx. So for this case, don't use the power rule. Instead, use this natural logarithm rule. So integral of 1 over x dx is the ln of absolute value of x plus c. And don't forget the absolute value because ln is defined only for positive numbers. Of course, if there is a restriction that x is greater than 0, then we can write our integral as ln of x plus arbitrary constant c. But if we don't have this restriction, then we have to put these absolute values here. Next rule, so we have this natural exponential rule, which tells us that the integral of e raised to kx dx, where k is a non-zero constant, is just equal to the integrand. So just copy this integrand here and then divide it by the constant k. And then add an arbitrary constant c. And it is very easy to verify that when we take the derivative of this, we'll get the integrand, which is equal to e raised to kx. So for example, let's say we want to evaluate the integral e raised to 5x dx, then this is just equal to copy the integrand, which is e to the 5x, and divide it by the value of k, but the value of k here is 5, and then plus c. Another example, so if we have here integral of e raised to negative 7x dx, then this is just equal to, again, copy the integrand, which is e raised to negative 7x, and divide it by the value of k, which is equal to negative 7, and then plus c. Of course, we can write this down as negative 1 over 7 e raised to negative 7x plus c. And of course, if k is equal to 1, so that is integral of e to the x dx, then this is just equal to e to the x over 1, which is simply e to the x, and then plus c. Now, let's move to properties of antidifferentiation. This first property here tells us that a constant factor of the integrand, in this case we have the constant factor k, can be moved outside or in front of this integral here. So this integral here is just equal to the constant factor k and then times the integral of f of x dx. And this second property here tells us that the antiderivative of a sum or difference is the sum or difference of the antiderivatives. And these properties follow from our differentiation properties. Derivative of a constant times a function is just constant times the derivative of the function, and derivative of a sum or difference is just equal to the sum or difference of the derivatives. Okay, let's have some examples on how to use these properties. First, let's evaluate the integral of, let's say we have here 5x raised to 6, and then minus 3e raised to 4x, and then plus 10, and then dx. So applying the second property, so integral of a sum or difference is just equal to sum or difference of integrals, then we get integral of 5x raised to 6 dx, and then minus integral of 3 e raised to 4x dx, plus integral of 10 dx. And applying the first property, we can move these constant factors to the front of the integrals. So we can write these expressions as 5 integral of x raised to 6 dx, and then minus 3 integral of e raised to 4x dx, plus we can just leave this integral as is because we already have a formula to evaluate that integral. Now we can apply power rule for this integral and the exponential rule for this integral, and our constant rule to evaluate this integral. And we obtain 5 times x raised to, add 1 to the power, divided by the new power. And then minus 3 times exponential rule, just copy the integrand, divided by the k, the coefficient of x, which is equal to 4. And then plus, you have here integral of a constant, so just copy the constant and multiply it with x, and then plus c. So we can write our answer as 5 over 7 x raised to 7, and then minus 3/4 e raised to 4x, and then plus 10x, and then plus c. Note here that although we have three indefinite integrals here, we only have one arbitrary constant, c, in our answer. Why? Because again, this constant is an arbitrary constant. Because even if we put like an arbitrary constant c, let's say for the first integral, and then another arbitrary constant c for the second integral, and then another arbitrary constant c for the third integral, then this 5 times c1, and then minus 3 times c sub 2, and then plus c sub 3 is just an arbitrary constant, which can be denoted by c. Note also here that this term here is just a particular antiderivative of this first term in the integrand. And then this one here is a particular antiderivative of this term here. And then 10x is a particular antiderivative of 10. So when we are evaluating an indefinite integral, which means that we have to find all the antiderivatives of this integrand here, all we need to do is find a particular antiderivative which is in this case, this is our particular antiderivative, and then just add an arbitrary constant c. And these are all the functions whose derivative is equal to this integrand. Let's evaluate one more integral. So let's evaluate the integral of, let's say, 8 minus 5x and then plus 6x raised to 4 and then all over x dx. So to evaluate this integral, we just have to write the integrand as difference and sum of fractions. So we can write it down as 8 minus x minus 5x over x and then plus 6x raised to 4 all over x dx. We can now write our integrand as 8 over x and then minus 5 and then plus 6x cubed. And using the second property of anti-differentiation, we can write this down as integral of 8 over x dx and then minus integral of 5 dx and then plus integral of 6x cubed dx. And using the first property, again, we can move the constant factor to the front of the integral. So we can write this down as 8 integral of 1 over x dx and then minus, we can just leave the second integral as is and then plus 6 integral of x cubed dx. Now we use these rules here to evaluate these three integrals. So these integrals are just equal to, we have here 8 times integral of 1 over x dx is just equal to ln of absolute value of x minus integral of 5 dx, which is just equal to 5x, and then plus 6 times power rule. So add 1 to the power divided by the new power, and then plus c. Now we can cancel a common factor here. The common factor is 2, so we'll be left with factor 3 and then factor 2. So we can write our answer as 8 ln of absolute value of x minus 5x and then plus 3 halves x raised to 4 plus c.